Predator hunters, predator catchers, predator poachers. These terms may sound familiar. Even so, the internet has made it my job to autistically over-explain and elaborate as to what these are. Predator hunters, or the more fitting name, predator poachers, are the internet's modern take on a special victims unit. Descriptors I personally like to apply are pseudo Chris Hansen, internet vigilante, Discord detective, so on and so forth. Individuals who take it upon themselves to enact vigilante justice, but these days, as of 2024, that's a bit generous to say.
I'm getting to that. I'm going to get to that in a minute.
I told her I did
so that's also your penis, right?
Oh yeah, there's 3 pictures.
I used AI to catch a predator on Discord. I made a fake female alt on Discord and used it to go predator fishing. And once I got one on the hook, he sent a selfie, which I ran through advanced facial recognition software to identify exactly who he is.
The former typically would be in a legit position of authority, law enforcement. Former EMS workers who've worked in collaboration with authorities, often partaking in sting operations. These stings would consist of setting up a fake underage decoy on the internet and sparingly engaging with only the most desperate predators that would take the bait. The end goal would be to lure the child predator to a house designated and monitored by law enforcement. The involvement of law enforcement is crucial due to the intricacies of forensic analysis. If evidence is gathered in an unconventional manner and unorthodox practices are employed, the integrity of the case crumbles, the risk of prosecution being in vain. Let me spell this out for you. Predators get to walk free. Now that brings us to current day. How has this changed over time? Well, given the famous Dateline NBC is no longer airing due to controversy I couldn't possibly explain in this video.
911, what are you reporting?
Hi, there's a person who's been stalking me online and they just showed up to my house.
Okay, and they're outside now?
Yes, they're knocking on my door.
Okay. And do you know if they have any weapons?
They have a bunch of camera people, like they're YouTube stalkers.
Okay. But no weapons seen?
I didn't see any weapons. I just saw like 6 guys in my driveway, and one of them is knocking on my door.
And the one that's knocking on your door, is he the main one that you said has been stalking you?
Yes, he's a stalker. He's yelling things at me through the door right now.
Okay, and what do we know his name at all?
It's Chris Hansen.
The perceived utility of these ops and people like Chris Hansen were brought into question, and they were deemed not only ineffective, but detrimental to any progress made towards removing dangerous criminals off the streets, and any attempts to rehabilitate said individuals has been significantly regressed. But not to be mistaken, this content has only served to inspire many neckbeards and window lickers to take these dangerous criminals to task, with today's subject being the epitome of them all.
Okay,
doesn't mean I'm part of that community. You want to know what community I'm in? I'm in the Boomer I'm in 2 communities. The Boomer cartoon community. I hunt pedophiles.
Oh, that's wonderful.
That's what I do.
One of those idiots.
Idiots, huh? Go ahead, tell me how stupid about that.
No, he is actually a pedophile hunter. He actually
he's
hunts
a real
down.
one. Oh, okay. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I've done a lot with quote unquote pedophile hunters.
Most of them are idiots. Oh, I actually try to help actual victims of child predation, hence the kid down the hallway.
Not very likely. I'll let you in on a little secret. Lio disowned me, and that's, I don't know his kid anymore.
Oh, hi. I go by Lio Convoy, and welcome to my channel. I know it's not very big yet, but I'm working on it. Want to know what my channel is about? Good question. Here it goes. The purpose of this channel is to give my thoughts and opinions on various media. Why? Because you need to hear it, of course.
John, it's 1:30.
No.
You need to get up.
Why?
Because if you don't, I'm going to hit you with these nunchucks.
Why?
Because friendship is about nunchucks.
Well,
Why would I go there? All I have to do is watch Macross and I'd already be there.
let me guess, you are live. Yep.
Actually, I'm not live at all.
And this is the problem I have with all of you cocksucking idiots bringing up Vita every time you beef with me. You drag the trauma of his victims out for a gotcha on the guy who tried to help them. You are an unrepentant, immoral scumbag, and the better off the world would be if you turned yourself into a statistic tonight. Somebody just needs to lay hands on you, frankly. Like, you're so goddamn stupid. And you don't care what Vita's done to these people. You don't care about the children he's preyed on. You just think it's some sort of gotcha on me because I made you butthurt. Dick up with my family. Bring them into it and see what happens. I'm literally sitting in here with 600 or 867 viewers, and after this, people are going to watch this video, and you're going to be the laughingstock you should be. I hope you like all the attention you're getting, Mr. Roast Game, because this is the most you've ever gotten in your entire miserable life. Maybe I ought to shove you in the freezer. We exposed Vita 4 days after we found out in 2020. It took you days to remove a child predator when you knew.
I think it was like...
It took you days? 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 It should have taken you 5 goddamn seconds! You are one of the most hateful pieces of garbage I ever knew. To gaslight you, you'd have to have an intelligence to begin with, Mr. Intellectual, which is why you're scared to get in call, because you know I will rip your throat.
In light of the recent controversy involving Mama Max, the timing of this video couldn't have been any better. Working on this video for nearly a year, not only is the timing poetic, but eyes already seem to be on this very subject, with many sharing the discrepancies I've had for a while now. Today's video is long overdue, and we'll be talking about Thomas Guerrera, who most of you may know as a guy who calls himself Lio Convoy. The Lio Convoy channel, run by a 37-year-old Thomas Guerrera, had its humble beginnings talking about 80s cartoons, engaging in pedantic power-scaling debates over anime, video games, Star Wars, etc., soon branching out into the channel the bulk of you may know him as, a toy reviewer who dabbles into predator hunting. I say dabbles with the most obvious quotations because whenever his channel runs dry or stagnant from uploading toy or cartoon reviews, he coincidentally uploads 1, 2, 3, Jesus fucking Christ, 10 in recent memory, not counting live streams. And today we'll be discussing what's wrong with this picture, and believe me, there's a lot to unpack.
I hunt pedophiles.
Thomas Guerrera, or as most of you might know him by now, Lio Convoy, was originally a toy reviewer and a active member in the Brony community. How did I manage to read that out without laughing? Okay. Not only is the premise of this content dangerous to produce, but its production creates many negative consequences for the victims. In fact, any outside involvement in vigilante activity only muddies the waters for the case. Any chat logs or evidence provided to the authorities by vigilantes is impossible to prove it wasn't doctored when it comes to forensic analysis. This makes anything forwarded to the police by any outside involvement completely admissible in court, and oftentimes will only serve as probable cause to launch an investigation on said individual. Not to mention, vigilantes with an extensive track record of activity are frequently investigated by the FBI for things like possession of child porn. Not to mention, the judge and jury have to bring into question the motives and intentions of not only the victims, but the vigilantes when social media and publicity are brought into the mix, which could also be used in favor of the defense. This is one of the many reasons why social media influencers will stay quiet about the details with any legal proceedings going on in the background until after the case has been settled. The vast majority of predator hunters on the internet have actually never confirmed whether their catches have been sent to jail because of their catch. And in Lio Convoy's case, he has gone on record to admit to having no confirmation to anyone he's caught being put behind bars, aside from an instance where he twisted the truth and the actuality was the predator was instead taken to jail for assaulting their mother in front of a police officer.
And as far as Joshua Vita goes, Cass was given that information, but here's the sad thing. All that would have happened if Cass was to have pursued Vita when we first outed him, Vita would have been at home in Cass's place. Vita loved using slurs. He loved getting people's attention like that. We wouldn't have done Cass any good. We did the best we could. We found out 3 days later we exposed him. We had to catch him off guard. We had to make sure his victim was safe because he was going to absolutely target her and still does to this day.
Damn,
heartbreaking. Yeah. We just passed the cops more information. We just got about a fourth victim. Now, granted, Josh is currently on probation for 29 months for computer crimes.
Now, the screenshot I showed prior to that clip proves everything Lio just said here was a lie. And it doesn't surprise me, given the amount of performatism in this call. After looking at the public records, which the link to is included in the screenshot, we can see the specific charges that Joshua Vita has faced. That would be 4 counts of misdemeanor assault, not
for computer crimes.
But those of you watching at home might have realized there were many things in that small window of Lio speaking that ought to be addressed. And don't worry, I'm here to cover these.
And as far as Joshua Vita goes, we did the best we could. We found out 3 days later we exposed him. We had to catch him off guard. We had to make sure his victim was safe because he was going to absolutely target her and still does to this day.
Damn,
heartbreaking. Yeah. We just passed the cops more information. We just got about a fourth victim. Now, granted, Josh is currently on probation for 29 months. For computer crimes.
So that was a fucking lie.
So Lio Convoy in this call with Lagovert recorded by Pizza, a member of Lio Convoy's server. This call is apparently archived because they didn't want this out publicly, and I imagine for a reason. He states that he found out 3 days later about the activities of Vita, and I think I should stop putting this off. It's been long enough. Who is this person, this individual who goes by Vita?
Mentioned by two very good friends of mine, are currently working on a video going over Omnia's entire video because apparently, according to them, what they've told—
Whoops, wrong flashback. Right here, just, wrong event. We will be going over this. Because it happens to coincide with the events we're going to talk about. Now, the correct flashback would be to 2020, about 3 years ago at the time of recording this video, and we are going to be looking at a person called For No Good Reason, or FNGR for short. Now, any well-versed Lio fan would recognize this instantly as a former associate of Lio Convoy. Anyone who's even more well-versed in Lio Convoy lore would know about a server called Barrel. Well, as it happens, Vita was a former member of Barrel. He was actually a former predator hunter, as Lio Convoy likes to call himself. The story goes that Vita allegedly groomed this person who went by Mintheart. Mintheart would later transition and start going by Jordan. I managed to get in contact with Jordan, but the person Lio keeps vaguely referring to is just Jordan.
And as far as Joshua Vita goes, we did the best we could. We found out 3 days later we exposed him. We had to catch him off guard, we had to make sure his victim was safe because he was going to absolutely target her, and still does to this day.
But let me stop my tangent here and let you listen to Jordan himself.
So I met Thomas in 2018. It was probably around March of that year when I met him, and it was following the Toon Critic situation in the My Little Pony community.
Okay. Would you be comfortable giving us sort of a brief background on what you were going through in your life when this happened?
Yeah, so what I was going through was dysfunctional family is the short way to say it. Me and my siblings didn't get along. Me and my mom were at each other's throats. I was undiagnosed depression and anxiety at the time, and it was just a mess. Especially because I was also being groomed by Vita, so that it didn't help anything. It was just a lot. It was a lot. The relationship developed very slowly, or I guess kind of fast depending on how you look at it. So we were acquaintances at best, leading up to 2020. After the Vita shit happened that year, early that year, about March, April, I was, I guess, kind of cast out of Senate, because Senate was a thing at that point, because I was sticking by Vita despite what he had done. And when I eventually came to my senses and went to go talk to him after my birthday in June, then he took me under his wing. So we were never really friends or that close leading all the way up into 2020, but come my birthday, so June of that year, it kind of went a lot faster.
Jordan's retelling sounds very reminiscent of the Lio we know today. This sort of suggests that we've been right about Lio Convoy all along, that he doesn't have the qualifications to act like an authority on these subjects, and he doesn't know what he's doing. Going by Lio's standards, this would be an unforgivable crime, but it doesn't make it any better that Lio selectively admits this when he thinks it might be convenient for him.
I'm not asking any predator hunter to be someone's psychologist or therapist. We're not made for that. We don't have that knowledge. We barely have the knowledge to do predator hunting.
According to Jordan's testimony, it seems that Lio has always been playing this sort of side-picking game. And you would think if someone like Lio perceived Jordan to be a victim of not only grooming but sexual assault, that a man well past his 30s would be able to set aside commentary antics.
And as far as Joshua Vita goes, we did the best we could. We found out 3 days later we exposed him. We had to catch him off guard, we had to make sure his victim was safe because he was going to absolutely target her, and still does to this day.
In this very clip where Lio is talking about one of his former associates that would allegedly go on to groom Mintheart, Lio Convoy explains that they found out about these activities and 3 days later exposed him. Now the problem with this is if there was even an ounce of weight to the claims about Joshua Vita, Lio giving it publicity and farming it for drama content only contributed to the impossibility he was complaining about, that being Vita getting charged with any sort of sex crimes. And this isn't speculation. According to the testimony from the alleged victim themselves, that is exactly what happened. But I should specify one thing in particular. This testimony given to me by Jordan had nothing to do with Joshua Vita. In fact, it had to do with the very reason Jordan was involved in any of this. And so you said the cops wouldn't do anything. Was there skepticism trying to say, help you in that situation?
Yeah, so there's a couple things. So one, I was not raped. Rape requires penetration, and that did not happen. I was sexually abused, as the professionals put it when I talked to them. I was interviewed by like a kind of like CPS. I don't remember exactly what they're called. DHS, like a Department of
DPS,
Humane Society, I think, something like that.
Department of Public Safety.
So I talked, maybe I don't honestly remember. For life, I can't remember. But I did go to one of those official buildings. I did talk to people. They interviewed me. Because there was no penetration, no rape. It was incredibly hard to prove, and it would have been my word against his. And because it became this really big thing on the internet, the police did have reason to believe that it was all fake. And thus, because there was no proof, it was my word against his, and because they thought it might have just been for attention, nothing was done about it.
Can I ask why it was a thing on the internet when you were trying to get help?
So I first told my friends about it because I didn't know how to react or how to feel. It was the middle of the night. I get woken up by him touching me in the middle of the night. 16. I'm scared. I'm confused. So I message my friends, and I get told, let's make you a GoFundMe. Make a GoFundMe so that we can share it, so we can get you the hell out of there. And that's what I did. And because, my location's there, my name's attached to it, all this information, that was pretty easy to find. And the mandatory reporters were reporting it constantly to the police. I actually got visited by the police, and they came to ask me to take it down because they were getting so many reports from mandatory reporters.
Who were the friends?
So that's why, they
still friends.
There's a lot of people I told.
Okay.
No, there's a lot of people that I'm not in contact with anymore. But
I believe
one of the first few people I told.
I was just curious if, like, before you, I don't expect you to list them off because you said you're not in contact with them anymore. But one of them was Vita, right? Because I heard that Vita was the one who made the GoFundMe.
Well, no, I made the GoFundMe, but he was given the access to it, which then he passed off to Lio because he didn't want the responsibility. So the person who I could be wrong about this because this all happened on Skype and those logs are gone at this point. But I believe the person who told me to make it in the first place was Miss Anthropony. I could be wrong about this because this is a long time ago and those logs are dead. And Skype is shit. I think it was him who told me to make it.
It was the very vigilante involvement that Lio not only continues to partake in regardless, but even takes pride in, that starved this situation of justice. Mintheart was not removed from the situation to protect them from Vita. Mintheart was actually moved in with Lio because Mintheart was, prior to this, living in Nebraska at the age of 18, all by their lonesome, whilst being suicidal. So you said that it was then passed on to Lio?
Yeah, Vita gave it to Lio.
I heard you raised a pretty hefty sum with that GoFundMe. Was that money ever used in any way to try and get you up on your feet and independent, or was that kind of just the reimbursement for taking you in when you turned 18?
No, I used it to move me from Oregon to Nebraska.
Oh, okay.
And get me situated there.
Okay, and then why did you have to move from Nebraska to Texas?
Because I tried to kill myself, and Lio did not want me living alone in a state where I knew nobody. So he wanted me in Texas where he could keep an eye on me and make sure I was safe.
Speculation aside about the ethics of a nearly 40-year-old man moving a suicidal teenager in with him that outside of the internet had no real connection to.
It was his idea for me to move in with him. He had brought it up as a possible solution when I was going through the stuff with my mom and her ex-boyfriend. But that wouldn't have been until after I turned 18, and it wasn't talked about again until after I turned 18, and I was looking into moving out. He wanted me in Texas so he could keep an eye on me and make sure I was being safe. But I moved out alone for the first time. And then in March of 2021 again, and I moved to Texas, kind of request/insisted. What made the idea of adoption appealing to me is the fact that I come from a very shitty home. Like I said, my siblings and I didn't get along. My mom and I weren't getting along. I felt very alone in how I felt and just not okay. And my dad isn't in the picture, so I don't have a father, and I didn't have any strong father figures. And to me, because Lio was the only, in my eyes, sane adult around, he seemed like the best choice, and he presented himself as this moral good father figure that I could look up to, that would care for and support me.
Well, as explained in the first clip of Jordan's testimony, Lio Convoy again did not move Mintheart in with him in order to protect them from Joshua Vita. In fact, it's explained by Jordan not only once, but twice in both of the interviews I've done with them that Lio wanted absolutely nothing to do with them and made no real efforts to help them.
The relationship developed very slowly, or I guess kind of fast depending on how you look at it. So we were acquaintances at best, leading up to 2020. After the Vita shit happened early that year, about March, April, I was, I guess, kind of cast out of Senate, because Senate was a thing at that point, because I was sticking by Vita despite what he had done. And when I eventually came to my senses and went to go talk to him after my birthday in June, then he took me under his wing. So we were never really friends or that close leading all the way up into 2020, but come my birthday, so June of that year, it kind of went a lot faster.
All the while in current day going around bad-mouthing the mother of Jordan.
Now here's the context. A minor who went by the name of Mintheart was touched in their home. This was taken to their school, their mother, and the police. The perpetrator was their mom's ex-boyfriend. None of the groups I mentioned did anything about it. Not the police, not the school, and their mother even let the creep stay the night after she knew what he did.
And over the last few years, giving himself credit for doing anything about the situation with Jordan, whilst admitting that he did nothing and could do nothing about Jordan's situation.
Mint was worried he was going to get back a third night and had no options. No friends to stay with, no shelters that would keep them. So the only thing anyone could think of was setting up surveillance so if something did happen, Mint could send it to the police. Mint. Not me, not anyone else. And on top of that, it was an idea. It's not something they went through with, because thankfully they didn't need to.
Just felt the need to interject here. The reason they didn't need to is because the prior that Lio just said was a bit misleading. It wasn't that nobody did anything or tried to help Mintheart, it's that they couldn't, due to involvement from people like Lio Convoy, the existence of the GoFundMe. That I will show screenshots up on screen of Jordan clarifying that this wasn't their idea, they were in fact coerced by these internet vigilantes, and not only that, Mintheart wasn't the one who made the GoFundMe. So in actuality, Mintheart had no control over whether this GoFundMe was taken down. In Jordan's retelling of these events, their mother was on top of it immediately, and there was no mention of the boyfriend staying another night, but instead Jordan being safe behind a locked door, that being their room, while they waited for the boyfriend to come collect his stuff and leave.
All works. How exactly are we supposed to lock these people up? We file reports to the police. That's literally the most we can do on a legal end.
Remember this one.
We had to catch him off guard. We had to make sure his victim was safe because he was going to absolutely target her and still does to this day.
Note that he claims to keep Jordan safe, but then immediately contradicts this statement by saying that they were still targeted by Vita to that very day.
Oh, trust me.
Apparently he is on vacation right now. Even though he's still messaging in the server, apparently he's on vacation.
Oh no, trust me. I know how that feels because I'm inundated with this stuff 24/7. After that video dropped, I've had 6 people DM me about them being preyed on. I don't do this for some asinine idea of clout. Most of my predator hunting, most of it, believe it or not, is quiet.
The reality of this situation is it couldn't be further from the truth. Lio is often too busy playing Among Us and baby-talking Peaches in a Discord call at least 15 hours a day. There have been complaints ad nauseum that Lio Convoy, when reached out to, can't do anything for these people. Myself included. I've tried to reach out to Lio Convoy a very long time ago, long before I was ever removed from the Senate, blackballed from the community. Lio Convoy actually does not handle predation cases. Lio Convoy does not help victims. Aside from stalking, doxing, harassing, and getting these people in calls to badger them and upload it to his YouTube content farm, Lio Convoy does claim that the only thing he can do is assist victims in making police reports and telling their parents. Not only something that is probably taught to every child in a fucking school assembly, but you can learn the latter through a simple Google search or a YouTube video. There are plenty of these. Hell, I can link some of them in the description if you genuinely don't know. You don't need to go to Lio Convoy directly to get this sort of information. But the real reason why people go to Lio Convoy is this sort of clout factor. They want publicity. Lio Convoy discovers what Vita was up to behind the scenes. Well, he found out 3 days later and he exposed him. Now, if I'm being entirely honest with you, I've never exposed anybody with no intentions of gaining personally. Well, I know I personally had the noble intentions of exposing the subject and getting more people aware about this so they could steer clear of, say, individuals like Carmen Ryder or Brion. I've never once claimed that what I did actually did anything to sort of find justice for this situation. The difference between a guy like me, who since from the age of 17 has made videos, very few, exposing people for very serious shit with the intentions of people in those circles or people who have been oblivious or ignorant to these facts, that they can steer clear of this and keep themselves out of legal trouble and possibly even out of danger. What I don't do is take credit from actual professionals and people who do go out of their way and get shit done. To make sure this statement is complete, I am insinuating that that is just what Lio Convoy does.
And I cannot tell you how excruciatingly heartbreaking it is to have to tell some of these kids, I'm sorry, but if you can't tell your parents and can't call the police, I can't help you. And I live with that every single day. It is draining. It is exhausting.
When a guy like Lio Convoy puts it like this, it would be believable that it's draining and exhausting, and someone with a good heart, with good intentions, might genuinely be heartbroken by this fact. Problem is, Lio Convoy is not actually heartbroken by this fact. He's actually completely fucking unbothered. In fact, he goes about his daily life, having fun, messing around on the internet, and does this sort of as a hobby. Need I substantiate any of this? Well, I don't know. Look at the bulk of the guy's content. The bulk of the guy's content is playing with and building fucking toys on his channel and talking about cartoons. When he's not doing that, as I said, he can be seen baby-talking Hopeless Peaches or playing video games with Hopeless Peaches. And by the off chance that Lio Convoy is bored and needs a little spice in his day or even week, he will get into a Discord call and scream his head off at someone until he's about to have an aneurysm. Yes, I'm not joking, there is a clip out there of Lio Convoy damn near having a heart attack screaming at a neurodivergent person. Now, this is something I frequently allude to in this video, and it's something I haven't really elaborated on and have just said in passing, so I'll go ahead and clear it up here. Lio Convoy sort of asserts himself as this moral authority, and I'm not just asserting this baselessly. Lio Convoy has gone on record to say many times in every situation that he is morally correct, even in situations where he objectively can't be, couldn't be. There's not even a fucking iota of a chance that he could be. Reason being, the very same person who goes around parading himself about how much he has to protect the children, how much he does for victims, has no problem calling the school of a 15-year-old, telling them that that kid is planning up to shoot up his school, suggesting that it's to ruin his life, all because he couldn't get a leg up on him in an internet argument. Now, ironically enough, this is something similar to what one of my first commentary beefs was. It was when two kids, mind you, kids, teens, preteens, whatever, drew very poorly crude dicks in MS Paint to fuck with each other. And Lio decides to intervene because he's Lio?
Look, I'm involved because I choose to be. In the previous video I made discussing the habitual hypocrisy of Lio Convoy, I discussed his weird obsession with bullying minors. The most egregious thing when it comes to bullying children that Lio has done is a video that was actually uploaded by Queen Seraphina. In this video, you have two 15-year-olds that were bickering with one another because apparently one sent porn to the other.
Well, you think I'm scared of you?
Oh, you probably should be.
Yet. I should be. Give me a few reasons.
Well, number one, I can figure out very quickly where a kid lives by their photo, and I'm pretty sure you probably got one running around.
Oh yeah, you come to my house. I live in a gang neighborhood and I have guns, so.
No, I'm not.
About to shoot you.
Hey, retard. So he jumps in and immediately is trying to intimidate the kid, is talking about getting the kid's address. The kid, who by the way is complete cringe like every other 15-year-old, rightly assumes that means that Lio is starting to come to his house. And to be very clear here, if that was said to me, I would assume exactly the same thing. So I can't really blame the 15-year-old here.
You literally threatened me. Look,
I'm involved because I choose to be. You
come to my house, I'll put a bullet in your skull. Just saying.
You're not going to put anything in anywhere. Your airsoft guns don't scare me, son. Sit down and be quiet.
I actually have guns, fucktard.
I'm not worried about some dumb 15-year-old making threats about firearms. If I want to ruin your life, I'll just call your school and tell them you made the threat. You won't get anywhere in life. You want to play this game? We can play that game. So after Lio heavily implies that he's going to go to that kid's house, the kid threatens violence, which is actually not totally insane, because if I was 15 and some guy who's almost 40 is threatening me, I'd probably make the exact same cringe threats, but whatever. Point is he goes from that to jumping to talking about calling the kid's school. Lio opens with, "You should be scared of me. I can get your address." Who's really the one responsible for the provocation in this scenario is definitely not the 15-year-old.
Oh yeah, say it to my fucking face.
You are. You want me to clean it out? Okay, cool. That's what we're gonna do.
Dreadful Jax. You want to know what happened with him? He was pulled into call, independently, not given any roles, to try to get him to stop beefing with some other dumb kid. I hop in the call, and Jax loses his mind.
Fucking funny, man. You have no balls.
Jax, shut up!
Threatens to shoot me, threatens to do all this.
What the fuck's Lio?
Jax, how old are you?
I'm
Lio, and how old
15.
are you?
15, man. Well, you think I'm scared of you?
Oh, you
No,
don't
but
know.
you probably
don't
should
know
be.
yet.
I should be. Give me a few reasons.
Well, number one, I can figure out very quickly where a kid lives by their photo.
Couldn't call his parents because they're deaf.
And I'm pretty sure you probably got one running around.
Oh yeah, you come to my house. I live in a gang neighborhood and I have guns, so.
Which is why he gets away with this nonsense.
No, I'm not about to shoot every card.
So instead, I called a school. Because as you know, Pizza, we live in the United States of America, where school shootings are pretty common.
You literally threatened me. Look,
I'm involved because I choose to. You can sit there.
You come to my house, I'll put a bullet in your skull. Just say.
You're not gonna put anything in anywhere. Your airsoft guns don't scare me, son. Sit down and be quiet.
I actually have guns fucked hard.
I'm not worried about some dumb 15-year-old making threats about firearms. If I want to ruin your life, I'll just call your school and tell them you made the threat, and you won't get anywhere in life. You want to play this game? We can play that game.
And the last thing I want is to have this idiot pop off his mouth about how he's been in gangs and how he's hurt people and how he has guns and do nothing, only to find out, the kid went psycho and killed people.
So what has happened to make some old boomer that wants to talk about 80s cartoon get his choking hands ready? Well, that takes some context first. A year ago, there was some drama regarding a content creator named Hopeless Peaches, a young female Sonic enthusiast that had an entire cavalcade of clownish cretins hop out of the woodworks to paint her as the worst of people. What did Peaches do to seemingly deserve this? Did she kill somebody? Did she diddle a kid? Did she commit tax evasion? No, and here's where the content warning comes in for my fellow boomers that make up the majority of my viewership. I'm asking you to mentally prepare for the stupidity, because most of us have jobs, families, and bills to worry about, and I don't want you to have an aneurysm over this when you realize how dumb it is. Here's what she did. She corrected one portion of grammar in a script criticizing an acquaintance, allegedly was a bad friend in some cases, and talked about her mental health issues on Twitter. Yeah, you feel that headache coming on? That's your brain trying to understand how soft someone's life must be in order to think these things are worth losing your minds over and trying to ruin someone's life. And for those of you who are going to try to say this isn't an attempt at life ruining, shove it. I'm not here to listen to your apology on your own stupidity. Video after video came out accusing this woman of these terrible crimes.
Calling her a bitch, a liar, and a backstabber is not a crime. In fact, Hopeless Peaches even needing to have a segment in this video is a problem on its own. You see, this would have stopped and this wouldn't have been discussed if it was just you white knighting for Hopeless Peaches, but you couldn't stop it just having your head up her ass. You had to adopt her too. You see, the story goes that Laya Convoy had met Hopeless Peaches amidst her drama, and because of what was going on with Vita and Beryl, he did not do anything about it. Not that he was really obligated to, but I suppose their relationship begins because they made friends and amends over a broken promise or an empty promise that Lio had made. Now, when I'm sitting here talking about the relationship between Lio Convoy and Hopeless Peaches, I'm not actually here to entertain any of the speculation as to whether their relationship is romantic or not. I think they give everyone enough fuel to speculate anyway.
In fact, let's unpack that a bit. Let's assume that Peaches and I are in some sort of relationship. I mean, we're not, but let's assume. Why would that be an issue for Zay? Oh yeah, Zay has a pattern of wanting info about someone's sex life.
Yeah, there's a lot to unpack here. So first and foremost, this particular clip is very performative. He even goes on to act like he has some kind of like shivers going down his spine.
Peaches is an adult, and frankly, doesn't call me daddy. Ugh.
But we all know full and well the fact that he can baby talk and be really suggestive with Peaches is indicative of that not being the case. And furthermore, the fact that he could even entertain an idea like this despite it not even being presented in Zay's video is actually a sign of projection. It's something that Lio likes to accuse others of doing very frequently. Something I feel important to mention is that this interjection is in response to Zay, formerly known as Kai Weiss.
These people are all sick weirdos.
Look at yourself. Look at your daddy. Pull up a mirror. You're a fucking weirdo too. And again, I've been saying this.
Zay sure likes to sexualize things a lot. I'm noticing a pattern here. In fact, let's unpack that a bit. Let's assume that Peaches and I are in some sort of relationship. I mean, we're not, but let's assume. Why would that be an issue for Zay? Oh yeah, Zay has a pattern of wanting info about someone's sex life, made up or not. They're just that level of desperate for dirt.
An effeminate queer black male who referred to Lio as Peach's daddy. Now, if you've ever had any seasoning on your chicken, or I don't know, maybe if you just aren't a pretentious racist liberal, you would probably understand that Zay was just being sassy here. There was no sexual connotation, and the amount of times that people accuse Lio of having a sexual relationship with Peaches is quite few and far in between. So that begs the question I haven't even asked yet. Why would Zay, calling you Peach's daddy, have any relevance to him trying to dig up information on her sex life? It's almost like you're insinuating that your relationship with Peaches has anything to do with her sex life. I'm having way too much fun with this.
Peaches is an adult, and frankly, doesn't call me daddy. Ugh.
Now, frankly, we wouldn't be here talking about Peaches and Lio if all they had going on between them was, that they're a bit fucking weird. In fact, we're only talking about them right now because if Lio had a right-hand man, it would be Peaches. If Lio had a handler, it would be Peaches. If Lio had a #1 influence in terms of his actions and his behaviors, it's probably more than likely 9 times out of 10, Peaches. You see, Hopeless Peaches has gone on record multiple times to lecture Lio and convince him to make decisions that otherwise he wouldn't have stood by. And I'm so proud of myself for structuring the video in this manner because I get to explain that without even focusing on Hopeless Peaches directly.
Oh, look. Your favorite's in the chat, but he can go
Where'd
away.
you go off?
Go on.
Oh, Kumo.
Yeah.
What did
Look at these silly adults in productive conversation. I work more than you do, boy, and I just don't make people cut themselves. October 23rd.
Wait, hold on. Kumo's saying, look at these silly, willy, productive adults contributing to our society when they're literally a dumbass who came to you crying because they were caught making girls cut themselves.
I'm not gonna lie, bro. Fat bitches need to shut up.
Yep. October 23rd, 1980.
Oh wait, hold on, Kumo. Also, didn't you go into haven't you been going, instead of, contributing to society yourself, haven't you been going into different servers trying to spam documents about me and videos about me and now making thumbnails for someone who owns a load of zoo porn?
Yes, that's exactly what he's doing. He likes hanging out with zooophiles for some reason. Whoopsie.
Yeah, Kumo loves a zoophile.
What a fucking liar, dude. What a fucking Weasley little liar, dude. What a fucking Weasley little liar, dude. Holy shit, dude.
Yeah, he said,
Holy
like, oh
fucking
my God,
shit,
dude.
dude. Literally lying. Still lying to his audience.
So a little background behind this clip in terms of what I was doing and how I even got myself into this little mess to begin with. I had coincidentally been doing my research for my Lio video, meaning I was watching Lio videos. And in the play next, it showed me that Lio was actually streaming. Even more context is that my video on Hopeless Peaches that has been archived and will be linked in the description had been falsely struck by likely none other than Hopeless Peaches herself. Reason being, the timestamp I got was a clip of Peaches being an ass, not me. So naturally, I'm curious as to what the fuck they're even doing in this live stream together. And I'm met with I met with these two baby talking each other.
By nature are good. Anyways.
Ooh, what is that? A ducky, a ducky, a ducky, a duck, a duck, a duck, a duck. Eat the shit out of me, Daddy.
So those of you who know me and have been watching my content for a while, you know I'm actually pretty smug sometimes, especially when someone I don't like is embarrassing themselves. So I left this very innocent but ambiguous comment in their livestream chat, and it states as follows: "Look at these silly willy productive adults contributing to our society. Cat face." Now, something Peaches absolutely fucking hates me for is she calls me arrogant and narcissistic, neo-Nazi, racist, homophobic, transphobic. Wait, that's off topic. Well, anyway, Peaches thinks I'm just an arrogant ass, and that's because I've expressed to Peaches in the Senate before that I'm just fucking smarter than her, and she's like, you think you're just better than everyone, don't you? Coyote Lovely also expressed this sentiment, to which Peaches had this grudge start with me because I simply explained, no, Peaches, you just don't set the bar very high. Now, someone who's addicted to the attention and status they get from being a fucking victim all the time, whilst simultaneously being arrogant themselves and having a god complex, well, someone like that, I'm referring to Hopeless Peaches, it didn't sit well with her, and she's, ever since then, definitely had a fucking grudge against me. And not that I mind it, but what I do mind is when you make egregious fucking claims like this. What's the deal with Kumo?
And has helped me find a way to move forward and accept the truth. With Dr. Spinell's help, I have come to accept what really happened in September at the Martin family residence. I accept that what happened was not the result of any supernatural phenomenon, you say that, but rather the desperate actions of a young girl driven to violence by her dogmatic parents and old church rituals that are thought to drive out evil. I am happy to report that, since accepting the truth, my nightmares have ceased, and I am contingent upon follow-up appointments with Dr. Spinell in the future. Sincerely, John Ward. We don't talk about Kumo, Momo, true. Peaches is the keyboard ASMR champion.
Sorry.
Kumo asked a girl to cut his name into her leg and frame the bloody handkerchief. I banned him from the Senate, and now he hangs out with zoophiles who talk about raping me. Now, those of you in my audience who've been keeping up with my live streams already know what the answer to this is, but to those of you who haven't, who are new, or have just heard this in passing before and never had a chance to look into it, well, because there is literally nothing to back it. Well, you in particular might be wondering, well, Kumo, all this shit in this video is pretty damning, but is what they're saying true? I mean, I might have to disregard everything you just said if it's true. Well, rest assured, buddy, it's not true whatso-fucking-ever. You see, the zoophiles that I'm being accused of befriending are people that go by or went by the Fox Mafia. And a little background on the Fox Mafia. Well, I'm not gonna sit here and explain the fucking lore on them because I do have a video planned on them in the future. But the Fox Mafia was run by someone who goes by or went by Cass Warfox. I like to call him Cass Warfart, so that's what we're gonna call him for the rest of this video. But Cass Warfart was actually very responsible for the exposing of Coyote Lovely. That thing that Hopeless Peaches and Lio like to give themselves credit for, even though, like, they knew about Coyote's bullshit 8 months in advance and didn't say anything until this stream happened. Anyway, Cass Warfart also happened to be one of Lio's biggest detractors. Cass Warfart and Lio Convoy. You could go as far as to say they were like each other's arch nemesis. They had been beefing for like years at this point. Now, I have my opinions on Cass, and I think he deserves his own video, just because he's also a pretentious piece of garbage, and he's also somehow more of a pussy than Lio. Well, anyway, I kind of already had the background on these guys since, you know, one of my admins was in both the Senate and Fart Mafia, so I already had the gist of it, that these people were just Senate 2.0, and I already went into this with a closed mind, but I realized, you know, these guys fucking hate each other. I feel like if I get these ones to trust me and think that I'm gonna help them, they'll give me literally everything they've compiled on Lio, because at this point, it's been proven to me just by looking into the shit they post that they are autistic and obsessive about the Senate. So, I mean, who better to give me sources? Who better to give me shit to look into? I mean, I can proofread it on my own and determine what's real and what's not, and I'm very capable of thinking for myself. Foreshadowing, not even foreshadowing, spoiler, the Fox Mafia didn't like that very much. Well, that's aside from the point. Let me get back on track. I made it my mission to completely social engineer and manipulate the Fox Mafia into pretty much doing all of the hard work for me for my video. That means digging up clips, screenshots, organizing them all, and putting them in a fucking Google Drive for me so that I didn't actually have to continue doing all the digging on Lio myself. Insane. Now, where the work comes in is organizing this and actually constructing the project itself. I think I saved myself probably another 5 months of work just by using these idiots. Now, there's something else I should mention. The Fox Mafia and I, we're not friends. We're not friends. We are not friends. I was not associated with them technically. I mean, I was in their spaces, but I wouldn't say that I was friends or associates with them. I just used them. It was actually more abusive than anything, and I'm not ashamed to admit that. You see, and not only that, a former Fox Mafia member came into my live chat recently, because yes, guys, this video is kind of being recorded as everything's going down. I'm sorry. At least the end portions are being recorded as everything's going down. But Vash Lancet came into my live chat to literally corroborate what I've been saying on my live stream, that I was not friends with any of them, and in fact, I was a massive dick to everyone in that server. If you still don't buy it, let me just go ahead and confess that every time I spoke to Cass Warfox in a voice chat, I made it a point to tell him to kill. And I also made it a point to emphasize how serious I was when I said it. So this notion that I was ever friends with these zoophiles, which unfortunately, guys, we can't even take any of the claims they make against the Fox Mafia seriously, given that not only do they lie in the claims they make about Fox Mafia, but just the amount of lying they've done up to this point.
Before we continue, Fursky Doodle. Hello, hi. I see that you're upset with the video that was made. And particularly, Fursky's upset with you doxing their real name on Facebook and putting a 5-year-old innocent little girl in danger over internet drama. Thoughts?
Thoughts, number one, doxing is releasing of private information. Your Facebook is literally linked to your screen name.
And I would like to say as well, if you make a video, especially one, how long was it? But it was like it was like nearly 10 minutes of just Fursky literally talking about all the ways that they'd like me to be sexually assaulted. If your real name is linked to you talking in graphic detail about wanting to assault women, that's probably because in the real world, if you go around and talk about the graphic detail in which way you'd want to sexually assault a person or have that happen to them, that's called sexual harassment and can, the police can be called upon you and be spoken about. I know that online it's very hard for you to understand because you hide behind a furry with a bib, but in the real world people don't like that, and usually people frown upon that, actually. It's something that you shouldn't do. So, don't do that, Sarah.
Thank you so much, Hopeless Peaches. I think we were all having doubts. We didn't know what everyone else thought about sexual harassment. Well, now we know that if you sexually harass someone, that society frowns upon that. And as much as I would love to get into the forensics of this particular clip and explain to you why her language is indicative of lying, namely the latter part of her tangent that literally went nowhere, it just kind of unorganically segued into a tangent about sexual harassment bad. I'm showing you this as sort of an example of the lies they tell about the Fox Mafia Mafia and why I'm so skeptical of everything they say, because if these people really were this bad, I don't know why you would need to make shit up like this. So, unfortunately, a Senate-adjacent person made a rookie mistake, and his mistake was contextualizing this particular clip I showed you of Peaches. And what I find extremely ironic about this is I couldn't even bully this clip out of Fox Mafia. I couldn't even bully the original video out of them. They just flat out were probably just refusing to show me it, but they were claiming they didn't have it anymore, which...
I'll just put a timestamp on screen and you can skip ahead. But of course, I'm giving you approximately 3 seconds before we play the clip and just how fucking disturbing it is. 3, 2, 1...
Like, what he got is fucking, like, ass gaped and torn asunder by fucking Lio Man's giant, like, throbbing white barbed lion. And Peaches, I really hope, like, fucking Daddy Lio bends you over his knee for, like, the stupid shit you just pulled. Because I can't wait to, like, fucking see the video. Because if a video gets made of, like, you getting your fucking ass, like, fucking gaped like Coyote Lovely did, oh, it's gonna be so great.
Yeah, genuinely disturbing.
What I think is genuinely disturbing is how you can completely remove the context of what this person was saying and just take all of their words extremely fucking literally. As we can clearly see, something he's supposed to be presenting as the worst moment, this clip, is obviously hyperbolic. And the suggestion, these sort of connotations here, are that Fursky Doodles is implying they hope Peaches gets taken to task the same way Coyote Lovely did. Contextually, they were talking about and reacting to the expose of Coyote Lovely. Now, would I have used these words to say the same fucking thing? Not a chance in hell. But then again, I'm not a degenerate furry who has an F list of all their kinks and all the different shapes of dildos they like. Given this is one of the main people you refer to within the Fox Mafia as a quote-unquote zoophile, I feel very inclined to take it with an entire salt shaker whenever you make an assertion about them. So, needless to say, the Fox Mafia will be covered in their own video. I don't like them. I think they have plenty of things they need to be called out for that don't have anything to do with being called zoophiles. But, to say I was ever associated with them or friends with them is just a very baseless and misguided assertion, and it's definitely the furthest from the truth. The next person on the list of people I'm apparently not allowed to associate with is Gilded Poo, and Gilded Poo is referred to as a zoophile by Lio and Peaches both. Problem is, Lio already corrected this assertion the first time he made it, and then doubled back because I guess Peaches said so. Now, I actually choose to still associate with Gilded, because he's actually not a bad guy, if I'm being entirely honest with you. In fact, he's helped me with the production of this video, but because I know if I try to explain it, I'm gonna be biased, and maybe even way too charitable. So I'm giving Gilded Poo the opportunity to come on here and explain his side of the story, and explain how Lio and Peaches have been lying about him for God knows how long now.
So Kumo obviously asked me to record a bit for his video, and I don't know if I'm going to be able to keep it short and sweet like he wanted, but I'll try, I guess. But when he asked me that, I realized that I've never, like, sincerely answered that question. It was always wrapped in hyperbole and satire or trolling people. So I'm going to try to do that today. I'm going to try to give my sincere, honest side of this entire debacle. And you'll never see this in any of my videos. You'll not see this on Twitter. I'm never going to talk about this as seriously ever again. And the reason why is because it's too funny to play to the fantasies of the people complaining than it is to actually tell the truth about the situation, because the truth here is stupid, and it actually makes me look even stupider, and not because of the bestiality stuff, which I guess you could argue makes me look stupid, but the shit around it makes me look stupider. Like, some of the dumb thoughts and dumb decisions I made along the way are hilarious, and they're more boring than just saying I have terabytes or brontobytes of bestiality porn. But unfortunately, before we do that, we gotta go backwards in time to a great year, the great year of 2009. It's a year after the recession, prices are fluctuating for basically everything quite rapidly, and I, have a job, and I get a job mainly because, other than weed, but the primary reason I have a job at this time period is because I'm saving up for a fucking gaming machine. I had always had computers when I was really young. They were mostly family computers, but I didn't have, like, an actual gaming computer that I could play anything other than, like, Doom 1 or Age of Empires on. So I wanted to build something that was, you know, a gaming rig, it was modern, etc. So I don't have a whole lot of the parts from it. Sadly, I don't have the original graphics card that I had bought for it, which if I recall correctly was the AMD Radeon HD 5870, if I recall correctly. But somewhere in my room, I have the graphics card that I purchased in roughly 2014 that I installed into that computer, you know, trying to upgrade the graphics card and all that jazz. And I don't know where the hell it is. And if I remember correctly, it was like an R9 270X or something like that, or 280X. But that doesn't matter. What does matter is I do still have the processor, which is an i5 750. And for those that weren't around at the time, that is the very first Intel i5 that they ever made. I was 20 years old in 2009. Give me a break. But of course, the last thing, and the thing that people bitch about the most, the hard drive. I still have the original hard drive for that computer. And you shouldn't get this confused with the hard drive that I showcased in the video I did responding to Lio. Me actually writing fucking zoo porn XXXX on this fucking goddamn hard drive, well, actually it was technically on paper that was taped to the hard drive, did more psychological damage to these people. This fucking IDE drive from 1999, thinking that it actually, unironically, contained the very folder I've been talking about. That is a much older hard drive for like a Windows 98 computer, and I still have the boot disk for that computer. But this is a SATA, not an IDE hard drive. It's 160 gigabytes from Seagate. The model number is ST3160815AS. You can look that up and confirm that it's a real drive. And then, if you want to look up the date to confirm that this was in fact manufactured in 2008, at the end of 2008, the date code is 09165. And so the point is, at the end of 2009, I created my very first gaming computer. And shortly after building that gaming computer, within the same year, I discovered this lovely heavenly place, or at least was at the time, called 4chan. And in that, I was introduced to a lot of shit. Now, granted, I want to make this point clear. This was not the first time I saw gross out fucking shit or trolling or anything. It was not unusual when I was growing up to wake up in the morning and see that your Motorola Razr was filled to the brim with like fucking scat and bestiality porn that your fucking friends had sent you while you were asleep. So that concept was something that wasn't foreign to me. And if you don't believe that, by the way, you can go look up Two Girls, One Cup if you want to. That was very popular at the time to troll people with. The entire idea was to sit it to somebody to watch them get grossed out. That was the entire point. It's actually referred to by some as the shock jock era, which, by the way, was not just something that was done by cringe people on the internet. It was also done in the mainstream. There are movies like Freddy Got Fingered, or the show Jackass, including like the first couple movies, all showcase the same behavior. I mean, how many people went to go see Jackass with their friends and they weren't really laughing at the movie as much as they were laughing at their friends for being the weirdo normies that got bent out of shape and cried about it, right? There's a lot of people. It was very common at this time period. Hell, even popular radio hosts at the time, like Howard Stern, participated in this shock jock era. Whereas today, from my standpoint anyway, the world has become increasingly more sensitive. But regardless of all of that, somewhere between 2009 and 2014, I created a folder on here called Trigger Faggot. And that folder is old, as I said, and that folder is, what, like probably 200 megabytes or something? It's very, very tiny. It consists of only a handful of like very tiny videos that are very poor quality that on a modern HD screen would look even more like shit. Might get away with it on a phone, but probably not. But primarily it has, you know, pictures and I think a handful of actually really bad GIFs. This folder is very old, and the truth is, you can get a lot of what's in that folder on numerous fucking 4chan archives. Now, you might be saying at this point, Well, in the past, you said terabytes, and now you're saying it's a 160 gigabyte drive. And if you're a real sleuth, you might be asking, well, you said in the past 440 megabytes, and now you're saying 200 megabytes. Which is it? Well, the answer to that's pretty fucking simple. You can just go on Amazon right now and purchase like an external kit thing that allows you to essentially convert this into a glorified flash drive. And I just transferred the Trigger Faggot folder onto a hard drive that I had at the time during all of that drama that was going on at the time, somewhere in 2022. Quick correction, it would actually be 2021. You know, the things that Lio is referencing.
This is when I started digging into Pooh a bit more, and found posts dating back years of him defending the fact that he owned terabytes of zoo porn because it isn't illegal.
And as a result of that, I added other things to that folder. So it wasn't just the 200 megabytes it was originally. I added tons and tons and tons and tons of edgy memes. I didn't add any of the bestiality shit or anything like that because I didn't have to. I had enough of it, and it was small enough that I didn't really need to worry about space. But the sad reality is the reason I said terabytes.
I'm curious, like, why do you just have that, though?
God, Vlad, why do you have it, Vlad?
Why are so many crybabies?
I have terabytes! The truth is, I genuinely thought that I had added, like, that many more memes. I thought that I had added that many more fucking edgy clips from YouTube and from Rumble and stuff like that. Especially Twitter clips. There's so much unhinged shit on Twitter that you can clip and put in a folder and then trigger somebody with later that isn't even bestiality or any porn of any kind. And that's a lot of the shit that I added. Hell, here's a screenshot of me talking to somebody and telling them that a GIF that they had posted in my server is now in my Trigger Faggot folder. And that was actually the newest thing I had added to the folder at the time. And I guess technically speaking was the very last new file that I ever added to that folder. And the reason why, well, the truth is, because the hard drive I had put that on, I gave to Gallagher, and I wiped it, like an idiot, actually. So, we're back to square one. We're back to the original 200 and something megabyte folder. I am too lazy to put that fucking folder back on my computer with the new hard drive I installed. I'm way too lazy to do that because I lost the actual memes that I cared about. A lot of those memes. I didn't care about the bestiality porn or any of that shit. I cared about the fucking memes. And sure, I could have, went and dug around to find the thing to make this into an external drive and just plugged it into my computer, let it sit on top of my computer to perpetually fucking troll people, I guess, with it, I suppose. And I could have put it on here, I guess, if I wanted to. Hell, I could have put it on any of these flash drives that I got in a baggie right there. Yeah, sure, I could fucking do that. But here's the reality of it. And here's the truth. I'm too lazy. I don't want to do that. I don't even care enough. You're asking me to go through a lot of effort. You realize that I had actually transferred the original file onto the hard drive that I fucking gave to Gallagher like entire years ago? And for the record, to clarify for the autists among us, what I'm referring to here is the fact that I had actually transferred that folder from the old drive to what was a new drive at the time entire years ago. Actually 2 years prior to when I would reformat it and give that hard drive to Gallagher. I lost so many memes, and it's really disheartening, the idea of putting this folder back on the thing and then adding to it, and that's a lot of effort. I don't want to bother with it. In fact, I had to go all the way to my cabin to get this fucking hard drive just for this video. I'm not even sure it even works anymore. I'm not exactly gentle with it, but I mean, it probably does. Those things last potentially forever. And this brings us to a very crucial question. Why is it that I still have the drive stored on a shelf somewhere in my cabin? Actually, I thought it was just in my room, but I dug through my whole room looking for it, and I couldn't find it. It turns out I threw it in a box and took it out back like fucking 100 yards away into my cabin. So, why is it I still have it? The reason that I still have that hard drive is the exact same reason I still have the fucking original processor. It's the same reason I still have the RAM, and that is because I was planning to, at some point in the future, rebuild that computer to being like it was when I built it. And this isn't so much sentiment as I just think it would be cool. But a question that was asked of me, it was a really, really good question. If it is true that all that shit's archived, and I can just go and download whatever to send to those people to troll them, what's the point in having this? If it's still there, and you can still download much of what's even on here, why have it? That's a good question. To prove that's the one, you can read the numbers yourself. There are going to be people out there that are going to say cringe shit like, oh, gee golly gosh, that hard drive isn't dead enough. Well, it's very dead. But to those people that say shit like, he must still have the folder after this video, well, there's no convincing them. There's nothing I could do or say. I can't shoot a digital folder. And besides, that wasn't for you people anyway, at all. The truth is, well, twofold. Number one, I found actually that hard drive on Amazon recently. It came up and I bought it. I had to pay almost $50 for another copy of that hard drive in particular. And secondly, I don't really particularly give a shit enough because whenever I erased the newer fucking modified version of that fucking folder off that hard drive I gave the Gallagher, I kind of just lost interest and quit giving a fuck. So there you go, Kumo. I hope you found that entertaining.
Thank you so much, Vlad, for coming out here and explaining the entire situation to everyone. I hope that put it in a better perspective for those of you who've just heard Peaches and Lio call him a zoophile, dog fucker, whatever, and then not really hear anything else about it from anyone else but him. And it definitely doesn't help that Gilded Poo exaggerates it every time just to mess with people, because at the end of the day, Gilded Poo is just a troll. This is just part 1 of a 3-part series. The 3rd video will be on Hopeless Peaches.
All in my closet.
Thank you all for watching.
I traded in my truce for some robins. He playing Batman, Lio's gonna rob him. Ayy, I got a Glock in my Rari. Ayy, 17 shots, no 38. Ayy, I got a Glock in my Rari. 17 shots,
I'm like, yeah, she's fine. Wonder when she'll be mine. She walked past, I press rewind to see that ass one more time. And I got this sewed up with the Senate, they know us. All fast drama, no slow stuff. No one can control us. Hey, yeah, baby.
Tell me what you see. Is it drama or it's me? I smoke 20, smell the weed. I got honeys in my V. They like Lio, can you be my Discord daddy? I'm like, yeah, I got drama in my server. See the members in despair. All you see is Senate drama, cause my name goes everywhere. If a Kumu's got a problem, we could meet up anywhere. Now go say some, don't you niggas play dumb. You know where we came from. You don't want sauce, no A1.
I'm like, yeah, she's fine. Wonder when she'll be mine. She walked past, I press rewind to see that ass one more time. And I got this sewed up with the Senate, they know us. All fast drama, no slow stuff. No one can control us. Hey, yeah, baby.
Ay, shit, cutie, is she fine? Make me wanna make a mosh, ain't I like I'm Ben, but if you like it, we just swerve. We could light and stain the purple and pluck it out the window. We do playing first rewind, got us singing every time. Take a high note for me, girlfriend. Got my city looking rude. I ain't Diddy, I ain't lone, but I think I need a girlfriend. She feel me great as I'm talking to her. She a Remy girl, so I'm gon' pursue her. I brought a lot of loud, lot of Remy sip on. $1,000 when I did my tip on them offer. Asked her if a fatty real, she said that's all her. Got her with a happy feel, I'm about to spoil her. Got her with a happy feel, I'm about to spoil her. Oh my.
I'm like, yeah, she's fine. Wonder when she'll be mine. She walked past, I press rewind to see that ass one more time. And I got this sewed up with the Senate, they know us. All fast drama, no slow stuff. No one can control us. Hey, yeah, baby. You guys need to stop picking on me and my dad's internet family, okay? Please. It really hurts our feelings. Our family's legitimate, okay?
Okay? Thank you. By the way, fuck you, Kumo.